Nagar, Chapter 1, Introduction to Political Geography. 1. Political Geography, Introduction, Description, and Size. Political geography is a branch of geography that studies how geographical space influences political processes and how political decisions shape geographical boundaries. It examines the relationship between physical landscapes, human settlements, and political structures like nations, states, and borders. And at Introduction to Political Geography. Political geography helps us understand how and why states form, how they grow or shrink, and how geographical features like mountains, rivers, and coastlines affect political decisions. It is concerned with the distribution of power and how it affects the spatial organization of the Earth. Description of political geography. Political geography explores topics like boundaries, the lines separating different countries, states, or regions. Resources, how the location of resources like water or oil impacts political decisions. Power and influence, how geographical size and location affect a state's power. Size in political geography. The size of a state plays a crucial role in its political and economic influence. For instance, large states. Countries like Russia or Canada have vast land masses, which provide resources but may also lead to challenges in governance and defense. Small states. Countries like Singapore or Luxembourg are compact and easier to manage, but often rely on diplomacy and trade for influence. Contributions to political geography. Key figures in early political geography include Immanuel Kant, a philosopher who believed geography was essential to understanding human behavior and politics. He emphasized that space and location influence the political organization of societies. M.B. Jones focused on regional studies, looking at how different areas are organized politically based on geography. Knappenegger, Chapter 2, Geopolitics and the Organic State. Geopolitics is the study of how geography influences global politics, including the distribution of power, resources, and territories. It explores how physical features like mountains, oceans, and climate shape political strategies. The organic state theory, on the other hand, compares the state to a living organism that grows, develops, and adapts based on its geographical environment. Geopolitics. Geopolitics emerged as a critical field to understand the relationship between geographical features and political power. It answers questions like, why do some countries have more influence than others? How does geography give certain states a strategic advantage? Contributors to geopolitics. 1. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC, one of the earliest thinkers to connect politics and geography. He believed that the success of a state depended on its natural environment and the character of its people. 2. Friedrich Ratzel, a German geographer who coined the term Lebensraum, living space, suggesting that states, like organisms, need space to grow and thrive. 3. Karl Ritter, known for emphasizing the role of physical geography in shaping human history and politics. 4. Charles Darwin, although not a political geographer, his theory of evolution influenced ideas about competition and survival among states. 5. Herbert Spencer applied Darwin's evolutionary ideas to human societies, comparing states to organisms. 6. Rudolf Kjellin, a Swedish political scientist who formalized the organic state theory, describing the state as a living entity that needs resources and expansion to survive. The organic state theory. The organic state theory suggests that a state grows, develops, and functions like a living organism. Its survival depends on its ability to adapt to its environment, secure resources, and expand its territory. For example, growth. A state may expand its territory through colonization or annexation, similar to an organism expanding its reach. Adaptation. States adapt to challenges like resource scarcity or conflicts through innovation or alliances. Decline. If a state fails to secure resources or adapt, it may weaken or collapse. Modern geopolitical thinkers. 1. Halford Mackinder introduced the Heartland theory in 1904, stating that controlling the central landmass of Eurasia could lead to global dominance. 2. Alfred Thayer Mahan highlighted the importance of naval power, suggesting that controlling sea routes was key to political power. 3. Nicholas Spikeman developed the Rimland theory, emphasizing the importance of coastal regions in geopolitical strategy. 4. Karl Haushofer expanded on Ratzel's ideas and emphasized geopolitics in Germany's political strategies during the 20th century. Practical examples of geopolitics. World War II. Geopolitical strategies played a vital role as countries sought control over regions with valuable resources like oil and industrial bases. The Cold War. The competition between the US and the Soviet Union centered around geopolitical influence over strategic regions. China's Belt and Road Initiative, a modern example of geopolitics, where China is building infrastructure to strengthen its influence across Asia, Africa, and Europe. This chapter provides an understanding of how states are influenced by geography and how they grow, develop, and adapt based on physical and political environments. Would you like me to continue with Chapter 3 on political geography analysis? Chapter 3, Political Geography, Analysis, Study, and Approaches. Political geography is a fascinating field that goes beyond just studying physical locations. It dives into how the organization and distribution of power, governance, and resources shape societies. In this chapter, we will look at how various thinkers have analyzed political geography, the different approaches to studying it, and how these ideas continue to influence modern political practices. Political geography, analysis, and study. The analysis of political geography involves studying how geography affects political structures, governance, and international relations. The study of political geography considers factors such as location, how the position of a state or territory affects its political power. Boundaries, the lines that separate states or regions, and how these affect internal and external relations. Territory, the land a state controls, including resources, population, and infrastructure. Political geography examines both the physical, natural features like rivers, mountains, and human, cities, nations, borders, aspects that influence political behavior. There are different approaches or ways to study political geography, which are shaped by historical and intellectual traditions. Some of the major approaches include 1. Classical approaches. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC. One of the first to discuss the relationship between geography and politics, Aristotle believed that the environment directly affects the type of government a society develops. For example, hot climates were said to produce laziness and lead to monarchies, while colder climates produced hardworking people and led to democracies. Plato. He theorized that geography and environmental factors shape people's character and, in turn, their political systems. His ideas focused on how ideal forms of government should arise based on the geography of a place. 2. Renaissance and early modern thinkers. John of Salisbury. In the 12th century, he contributed to the study of the relationship between political governance and geography, emphasizing the importance of natural law and ethics in political decisions. Machiavelli. He analyzed how geography and political power influence the stability and expansion of states. His work, The Prince, reflects the importance of understanding geography to maintain state power. Thomas Hobbes. His ideas on the social contract are foundational to modern political geography, discussing how individuals and states interact to maintain order and stability. 3. Modern theories. Friedrich Ratzel, known for his organic state theory, Ratzel argued that a state is like a living organism that needs to expand its territory to survive. His ideas greatly influenced the development of geopolitical thought in the early 20th century. Halford Mackinder, 1904, introduced the heartland theory, which argued that the state that controls the central part of Eurasia, the heartland, could dominate the world. His theories emphasize how geography influences power on a global scale. Nicholas Spykman, 1944. Spykman expanded on Mackinder's ideas with the Rimland theory, which suggested that controlling the coastal areas surrounding Eurasia was more important than the heartland itself. Key political geographers and their contributions. Political geography has been shaped by various influential thinkers who have brought new perspectives to the field. A.T. Mahan, 1890, a naval strategist who argued that control of the seas and maritime trade routes was key to global political power. Harold Mackinder, 1904, His heartland theory was critical in understanding how geography shapes global power. Karl Hauff, a German geopolitician who extended Ratzel's ideas, emphasizing the importance of land and resources for state survival. Richard Hartshorne, 1950, focused on the role of territorial boundaries and how they define political power. His work influenced the study of state boundaries and how they relate to sovereignty. Approaches to political geography today. Today, political geography continues to evolve, incorporating new methods and technologies. Some of the modern approaches include 1. Spatial analysis. This involves using geographic information systems, GIS, and spatial data to analyze political patterns and trends. 2. Globalization and political geography. With globalization, political geography has expanded to focus on how global processes, such as international trade. Chapter 3. Political geography, analysis, study, and approach. Chapter 4. Trend of Development in Political Geography. The field of political geography has evolved significantly over time. Early thinkers laid the groundwork, and modern theorists continue to expand the understanding of how geography influences politics, power, and the interactions between states. This chapter discusses the historical trends and developments in political geography from its ancient beginnings to the modern theories that shape how we view political power today. Early foundations of political geography. The roots of political geography can be traced back to ancient philosophers who first began to make connections between geography and politics. These early thinkers believed that the environment and geographic location significantly influence the structure and behavior of societies. Herodotus, 485 to 425 BC, often called the father of history, Herodotus also touched upon geographical factors influencing politics. He described how geography played a role in shaping the politics and cultures of different regions, particularly the Greek and Persian empires. Plato. In his works, particularly The Republic, Plato theorized that the geography of a region influenced the political structure. He believed the ideal city-state needed to be well-planned, taking into account its physical environment to promote harmony and justice. Aristotle, 384-322 BC. Aristotle expanded on Plato's ideas by discussing the geographical factors that shape the development of political systems. He observed that different regions led to different forms of government, e.g., democracy in cold regions, monarchy in warmer climates, linking the physical environment to political structure. Strabo, Roman period, a geographer and historian. Strabo studied how geography influenced political behavior and human settlements, further connecting physical features with politics. Middle Ages to Renaissance. As the world entered the Middle Ages, political geography continued to evolve, with an increasing focus on understanding the natural environment's role in shaping political power. However, it was not until the Renaissance that the study of political geography truly began to develop as an independent field. John Bodin, 1530-1596. A French scholar, Bodin's work on sovereignty was a critical step in the development of political geography. He argued that sovereignty, or supreme authority, is shaped by the geographical boundaries of the state. His work laid the foundation for understanding how borders and territory influence the power of a state. Charles Montesquieu, 1689-1755. Montesquieu is known for his work on political systems and his famous theory of the separation of powers. In his book, The Spirit of the Laws, he explored how climate and geography affect the political systems of different regions, emphasizing the role of geography in shaping governance. The 19th century, the rise of modern geopolitical thought. The 19th century saw political geography develop into a more formal discipline, with significant contributions from German and British scholars who introduced theories connecting geography directly to political power, warfare, and state expansion. Karl Ritter, a contemporary of Alexander von Humboldt, Ritter is considered one of the founders of modern geography. He emphasized the connection between the environment and human activity, particularly the role geography played in shaping cultural and political developments. Friedrich Ratzel, 1844 to 1904, a key figure in political geography, Ratzel proposed the organic state theory, which compared the state to a living organism. He believed that states, like living organisms, need space, territory to survive and expand. This idea led to the notion of Lebensraum, living space, which influenced political thinking in Germany during the early 20th century. Early 20th century, geopolitical theories and world power. The early 20th century was marked by the rise of geopolitical theories that focused on the strategic value of locations and territories in global politics. These theories continue to shape contemporary geopolitics. Sir Halford Mackinder, 1904. Mackinder is famous for his heartland theory, which argued that whoever controls the central part of Eurasia, the heartland, would control the world. The heartland, he believed, was key to global power because of its strategic position and resources. Alfred Thayer Mahan, 1890-90. Known for his work on naval strategy, Mahan emphasized the importance of maritime power for states to project influence globally. He believed that controlling sea routes and naval dominance were essential for geopolitical control. Post-World War II, the Cold War, and the global landscape. After World War II, political geography became more focused on global power dynamics, particularly between the superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. This period saw the birth of Cold War geopolitics, where strategic positioning and alliances were crucial in determining global influence. Nicholas Spykman, 1944. Spykman built on Mackinder's heartland theory with his rimland theory. He argued that the coastal areas of Eurasia, rather than the heartland itself, were the key to controlling the world. Spykman's ideas influenced U.S. foreign policy during the Cold War. Karl Haushofer, a German geographer, Haushofer played a significant role in advancing the organic state theory and geopolitics, and his work influenced Nazi Germany's expansionist policies. Richard Hartshorne, 1950. Hartshorne focused on territorial boundaries and their role in shaping political power. His work laid the foundation for understanding how geographical boundaries define the sovereignty of states. Late 20th century to the present, globalization and environmental considerations. In the late 20th century, political geography expanded to consider globalization, environmental issues, and the complex interconnections of modern states. Increasingly, political geography is concerned not just with territorial power, but also with environmental politics, economic networks, and international cooperation. Globalization. The growing interconnectedness of the world has made political geography more complex. The movement of goods, people, and ideas has blurred borders and changed traditional power structures. Environmental politics. The environmental challenges of the modern world, such as climate change, resource Chapter 4, Trend of Development in Political Geography. Chapter 5, Main Study Unit of Political Geography, the State. In political geography, the state is a central unit of study. It refers to a political entity with defined territorial boundaries, a population, a system of government, and the ability to enter into relations with other states. Understanding the state is crucial for analyzing political power, governance, territoriality, and international relations. In this chapter, we will explore the concept of the state, its characteristics, the distinction between state and nation, and the role of the state in global politics. What is a state? A state is a sovereign political entity that exercises control over a defined geographical area. It typically consists of the following elements. 1. Territory, a clearly defined area of land with recognized borders. 2. Population, the people who reside within the boundaries of the state. 3. Government, a system of political organization that makes and enforces laws. 4. Sovereignty, the authority of the state to govern itself without external interference. In political geography, the state is more than just a piece of land. It is a complex institution that plays a central role in shaping political, economic, and social life. States can range from small city-states to large nations that control vast territories. State versus nation, understanding the difference. The terms state and nation are often used interchangeably, but they refer to different concepts. State, a political entity with a government, population, and defined borders. It has sovereignty over its territory and can enter into international relations. Example: France, Japan, and Brazil are examples of states, as they have clear borders and recognized governments. Nation, a group of people who share common cultural elements such as language, religion, ethnicity, or history. A nation does not necessarily have political sovereignty or borders. It is more of a cultural or social entity. Example: the Kurds are a nation spread across several countries like Turkey, Iraq, and Syria. They share a common culture and language, but do not have a state of their own. When a state corresponds with a nation, it is called a nation-state. Many countries, like Japan and Iceland, are examples of nation-states, where the boundaries of the state align with the cultural boundaries of the nation. Sovereignty, the heart of the state. One of the defining features of a state is its sovereignty, which means that the state has full control over its territory and domestic affairs, free from interference by other states. Sovereignty gives a state the authority to make laws, manage resources, conduct foreign relations, and protect its borders. Internal sovereignty. This refers to the state's control over its internal affairs, such as law enforcement, education, and economic policies. External sovereignty. This refers to the recognition by other states of the state's authority and the ability to participate in international affairs, such as joining the United Nations. Sovereignty is a cornerstone of modern political geography, and without it, a state's power and authority would be undermined. The role of the state in global politics. The state plays a significant role in shaping global politics. It is the primary actor in international relations, diplomacy, and conflict. Here are a few ways in which states influence global politics. 1. Diplomacy and foreign relations. States engage in diplomatic efforts to maintain peaceful relations, establish trade agreements, and address global challenges like climate change and terrorism. Example: the United Nations is an organization where states come together to discuss and solve global issues. 2. Military power. States often maintain military forces to defend their sovereignty and protect their interests. Military power can also be used for intervention, peacekeeping, and asserting dominance in global politics. Example: the US and Russia, as military superpowers, influence global security through their military strategies and alliances. 3. Economic influence. States control national economies and can use economic tools like trade agreements, sanctions, and tariffs to influence other states. The global economy is often shaped by the economic power of states like the United States, China, and the European Union. Example: economic sanctions imposed by the US on North Korea are an example of how states use economic power in global politics. 4. Territorial disputes. States may engage in conflicts over territory, often leading to wars or negotiations. The creation of new borders, the redistribution of land, or territorial claims in disputed areas like the South China Sea can lead to significant geopolitical tensions. Example: the territorial dispute between India and Pakistan over Kashmir is an ongoing issue with global implications. The evolution of the modern state. The modern state has evolved over centuries, influenced by a variety of historical, political, and social changes. Key milestones in the evolution of the state include 1. The Treaty of Westphalia, 1648. This treaty, which ended the 30 Years' War in Europe, is often considered the foundation of the modern state system. It established the principle of state sovereignty and the idea that each state has the right to govern itself without interference from outside powers. Number 2. Colonialism. European colonial powers established states in many parts of the world, drawing borders that often ignored existing cultural and ethnic divisions. After decolonization, many new states emerged, leading to changes in global politics. 3. Globalization. In recent decades, the power of the state has been challenged by globalization, which has increased interconnectedness and interdependence among states. Multinational corporations, international organizations, and global trade networks influence national politics and diminish state sovereignty in some cases. Conclusion. The state remains the fundamental unit of political geography. Its role as a sovereign authority that governs a territory, enforces laws, and engages with other states in global politics makes it central to understanding the world's political structure. While globalization and other forces have challenged state sovereignty, the state continues to shape the political landscape of the modern world. Would you like to move on to Chapter 6 on spatial characteristics? Chapter 6. Spatial characteristics of the state. The spatial characteristics of a state are critical to understanding its political and geographical organization. These characteristics influence a state's governance, security, economic development, and its relations with neighboring countries. In this chapter, we will explore key spatial features that define states, such as their location, shape, and size, and discuss how these characteristics impact the state's political and strategic decisions. 1. Absolute location. The absolute location of a state refers to its fixed position on the Earth's surface, defined by geographic coordinates, latitude and longitude. This spatial characteristic is important because it determines a state's access to resources, its climate, and its relationship with neighboring states and international trade routes. Example: Egypt is located at approximately 30 degrees N's latitude and 31 degrees E longitude. Its absolute location gives it control over the Suez Canal, a major international shipping route linking the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea. A state's absolute location can significantly influence its economy, politics, and role in international relations, as proximity to oceans, mountains, or borders often affects trade, security, and diplomacy. 2. Coastal and continental location. The coastal location of a state refers to its position along a coastline, while a continental location refers to its location in the interior of a continent. Both types of locations have important implications for the state's political and economic activity. Coastal states. States located on coasts often have better access to international trade and military advantages. Their proximity to oceans enables them to establish ports, facilitate shipping, and exert naval power. Example: the United States, with its coastlines along the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, has significant advantages in international trade and naval power. Continental states. States located in the interior of continents may have more limited access to global trade routes, but often have greater control over land-based resources and may face fewer maritime security challenges. Example: Kazakhstan, located in Central Asia, is a large continental state with abundant natural resources, but it lacks access to the ocean, making it dependent on land-based trade routes. 3. Difference between absolute and coastal location. While absolute location is a fixed point on the globe, coastal location refers specifically to how close or far a state is from the coastline. A coastal state is typically more engaged in maritime activities like fishing, shipping, and naval defense, while a state with an absolute location far from the sea may rely more on land-based resources and transportation. Example: Brazil has a favorable coastal location with long coastlines along the Atlantic Ocean, which facilitates trade and naval influence. On the other hand, Nepal, which has an absolute location in the Himalayas, lacks a coast and relies on land routes for trade and transportation. The geographical advantage of a coastal location often leads to a higher degree of influence in maritime activities and international relations. Vicinity location. Vicinity location refers to a state's proximity to neighboring countries or important geopolitical areas. Being near powerful or strategically important states or regions can have significant political, economic, and security implications. Example: the proximity of Poland to Russia and Germany has made it an important player in European security and a focal point in NATO's defense strategies. Similarly, the location of Israel in the Middle East, surrounded by several Arab states, heavily influences its security policies and international relations. Proximity to other states can lead to alliances, conflicts, or competition for resources, making vicinity an essential spatial characteristic of a state. 5. Scattered, fragmented, or broken states. Some states are not continuous and are made up of multiple pieces of land. These are known as fragmented or scattered states. Such states may consist of islands, separated territories, or regions with distinct cultural or geographical characteristics. Fragmented states. A fragmented state is one where the territory is not connected as a single piece, but is instead divided by water bodies or other states. Example: Indonesia is a fragmented state made up of more than 17,000 islands scattered across the Pacific and Indian Oceans. This fragmentation creates challenges in communication, infrastructure, and defense. Perforated states. A perforated state is one that completely surrounds another state. Example: Italy is a perforated state because it surrounds the independent state of San Marino and the Vatican City, making its borders more complex and influencing its domestic and international policies. Fragmented and perforated states face unique challenges related to governance, transportation, and security, as well as the relationships they must manage with their neighbors. Compound shape. A compound shape refers to a state whose territory includes different regions that might have distinct geographic or cultural characteristics. These regions may be islands, peninsulas, or separated by other states or water bodies. Example: Malaysia is a compound state because it consists of two separate regions: Peninsular Malaysia on the Asian mainland and East Malaysia on the island of Borneo. The different geographical locations of these regions present unique governance and developmental challenges. 7. Other shapes of states. The shape of a state can also influence its political and strategic characteristics. There are several common shapes of states, each with distinct features and advantages. Compact states. A compact state has a roughly circular or square shape, making it easier to govern and defend. These states have relatively equal access to all parts of the territory from the center. Example: Poland and Uganda are compact states with a shape that promotes internal communication and defense. Elongated states. An elongated state is much longer than it is wide, which can create challenges in governance, transportation, and communication across its territory. Example: Chile is an elongated state with a narrow strip of land running along the western coast of South America. This shape makes it difficult to govern effectively across such a long distance. Prorupt, protruded states. A prorupt state has a large projecting extension, often created for access to resources or coastlines. The extension may provide strategic advantages, but can also make the state vulnerable to invasion or conflict. Example: Thailand has a protruding region extending into Cambodia, giving it access to the Gulf of Thailand, but also complicating territorial management. Conclusion: the spatial characteristics of a state, its location, shape, and proximity to other countries, are key factors in shaping its political, economic, and strategic behavior. Understanding these characteristics helps explain why some states may be more prosperous, secure, or influential than others. Geographic features such as being landlocked, coastal, fragmented, or elongated have a profound impact on a state's ability to develop, defend itself, and interact with the rest of the world. Would you like to